Good evening and welcome to the Westborough Advisory Finance Committee meeting, February 13th, 2025, here in Memorial Hall in Town Hall. This is our 19th meeting of fiscal 2025. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means that members of the public body as well as members of the public may access this meeting in person or via virtual means. In-person attendance will be at the location in the posted agenda, and it is possible that all members of the public body may attend remotely with in-person attendance consisting of members of the public. This meeting may be accessed remotely via the link in the posted agenda. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by in-person attendance or by accessing the meeting remotely. Additionally, the meeting will be broadcast live in real time via Verizon Channel 28, Charter Channel 192, or via Westborough TV's online platforms at westboroughTV.org and youtube.com/WestboroughTV. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed by Westborough TV, and we thank them for that. Tonight we are going to start off with our guests from the Economic Development Committee, Fred Leonardo, the Community Development Director, and Sean Keogh, Economic Development Committee member, and of course the Select Board member as well. It's your floor.
Thank you very much for having us tonight. My name is Fred Leonardo, your Community Development Director for the town. I have a very short presentation. The EDC grant, that's why we're here tonight. Generally what happens, through the funds of grant billboards, the town takes in $60,000. So over the years, they've been appropriated that money to go through small or business grants through the EDC. We generally fund that up to the $60,000. This past year, we spent just under the $38,000. So that's where we're looking to replenish that fund to bring it back up to the $60,000. Any individual grant can be up for $5,000 per applicant. There's a couple exceptions to that. If there's a matching fund, they can get additional funds over the $5,000. But typically, most of the applicants come to us with $5,000. Some of you may remember that, I'll get into this in the next slide, my apologies. So the last 3 years, these are the amounts of the awards that we put out, totaling about $99,000 in total. The business, we've been a little bit slower. We've had some better years in the past, so we're looking to hopefully pick that up. We do have a new economic development coordinator, Laura Crawford. She's the one that actually put together this presentation tonight for you. And you'll see on the next slide, last year when I was in front of this committee, I was tasked with trying to figure out a return on investment. Laura did put together some numbers. I don't know if it's exactly what the committee was looking for, but at least we made an attempt to look at what a return on investment for the town was and for the grants. So what we found is that over the applications that were presented, the $99,000 that the EDC put out, of that, the grant applicants had said to us that the task or the projects they put forward generated an additional 4 full-time employees and 20 part-time employees. So Lara did is she looked at, if you took the part-time employees, and there's some assumptions built into this, granted. If you looked at the part-time employees, worked on an average of 20 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, the investment by the employers was $492,000 that these grant recipients put in towards salary towards these projects. Above what they got for grant money, they put in a total of $427,000 and change. So basically they put in about a little over $900,000 when it's all said and done towards all the projects that they presented to EDC. So if you were to say that basically EDC put in $100,000, they were getting about $8, or every dollar that EDC put in, the applicant was putting in roughly $8 of their own money between salary and upgrades to their businesses through the grants, and above what they got from the grant money. So we roughly looked at that as a return on investment from what the EDC put out for grants. I don't know exactly if that's exactly what you're looking for, but at least there's an attempt to see what happens with the grant money and how it services the businesses in Westborough. And these are some of the grant recipients. I'll have Sean.
And I'm really here to just help take any questions as a public service announcement, talking about what else the Economic Development Committee does and our Economic Development Coordinator. Coming up a week from Monday, be the 24th,
Correct.
we have over at the Great Hall that evening, there will be a follow-up public meeting regarding the branding and wayfinding project. So really helping folks come up with ways that we can better navigate the downtown and get people to our businesses downtown. There was an original December meeting. The consultant's coming back with some considerations, so I throw that out there for folks who are interested. Also, I guess, as another public service announcement, if you're not on the Westborough Facebook page or the other socials, the Economic Development Coordinator does do fairly weekly, often posts what's going on to Facebook and Twitter. So it's also a good way to keep sort of up to date with what's going on with the economic development in town.
Great.
Questions?
Okay. First question will be, can you send us that presentation when you get a chance so we can
Yes.
put it in our records?
I can do that.
Okay, take questions from.
I'll send it to the chair and then send it out that way.
Yeah, it's mostly for our records, so yeah, you can just send it to me and I put it to our board secretary so she can get it stashed with our records, but if anybody wants a copy, I can send it out. Go ahead.
I had a question on the grant money, and my bad, I should have looked at how much of this grant money we have given in the previous years. Somehow I'm not able to locate that. But one of the things which, when I was analyzing, I got the budget book, was that over the years, our businesses really, the money that we have got as a revenue from property taxes has risen by 23% in the past few years. But from other sources like receipts, local receipts, or places like your free cash or state aid is a little hasn't grown as much as the property taxes have raised. So which means that the only way we can improve is either raise our property taxes, which we are, or we get more businesses into our town so that possibly we can have more of revenue from them as well, in terms of not just the jobs but also in terms of the from the taxes as well. So my question is, do we have any kind of measures when we give this? It's great to see that that it has actually helped the business. But the question I have is, do we have a way to also track which all businesses we have given the money, but yet after like 2 years, 3 years, they still left or had to wind up for reasons because they just couldn't sustain. But they had those economic, they had those grants before. Some kind of analysis on that or measure on that. And also, how much are we also measuring the ROI, that the money that we have given, and also in terms of the taxes that we are getting from them, or the number of businesses that are actually growing, because it should be a good promotion for other businesses to come to our town as well, that hey, Westborough grants money. Maybe that money is so less that people are not incentivized, but if the money is, so maybe we should increase that money. I don't know. But the question is, have we done some kind of like that analysis as well, that this money that we are giving, has it helped sustain that business over the longer run, not just next year, but over a period of 2 to 5 years? And the second question is, if let's say we are measuring this ROI, is this ROI measured also across like how much businesses have grown, which means new businesses have come in over the period? What's the growth looking like for those new businesses?
Well, I can briefly answer. We have tracked, and I don't have the exact number, we have tracked in the past how many businesses that received grants and stayed in town. It's only been a couple, 2 or 3 that have actually left after they've received grant within a few years. So it's very low on the applications from grants that have actually gotten grants and not stayed in town. And in fact, we're actually getting to a point where businesses that are here are reapplying for grants, so they've been here for a few years. As far as the other ones, we'd have to track those. I don't have like numbers now and how long they stay and things like that. We can certainly do that if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think as part of this grant program, there are two application types we have.
Okay.
One is brand new businesses coming into town.
Sure.
And there are then, for both groups, there's certain criteria have to meet, right? And they're ranked based on, one is growth and things of that nature. And then the other one is for existing businesses and then what they need. In both cases, new businesses, we're looking to support them coming into town and getting up and running. Typically, startup costs is what we're supporting. With existing businesses, in some cases it is they're expanding their services. They want to provide some sort of additional service.
Sure.
And so this is helping support that business. In other cases, it is them being able to sort of keep up or improve the appearance of their location, especially in the downtown area.
Sure.
So an example of that is Westborough House of Pizza. They came to us and we gave them money towards new tables and chairs and all their outdoor equipment. Because that's really one of the things that people see as they come into the center of town. And so in that case, you couldn't really assign dollars to it. We were a portion of the project. They spent above and beyond that. But it's hard to get an ROI on that specific project. But on some of the others, I think we could sort of try and figure some things out. I think a couple of the cases that Fred's talking about, when he's saying leaving, they haven't gone somewhere else. It was that the business eventually wasn't viable. Right.
Sure.
So they didn't say, oh, hey, Marlboro's better. No, they said, this is general business to, is currently too difficult, and they dissolved.
All right.
So,
Good to know.
but again, few and far between.
All right. Thank you.
Just a curious question. When businesses apply for those grants, is the money dedicated for specific purpose when they apply, or they get a check and it's their discretion where they spend the money?
So they give us a description of the project. They've gotten a quote on what they're going to do. We're looking at what they're spending the money on. It has to fit the criteria of the grant. And so then only until they've completed the project and they come back with receipts is that money then awarded to them.
Fantastic, thank you.
So you mentioned that I was looking at it, 8-9 different companies per year. We're at 6, 3/4 of the way through, somewhere around 8 perhaps projected. So why are those numbers so low, do you think? Because you're not even spending to your budget.
Well, my thought on that is we've had some recent turnover in the economic development coordinator position. So it's not that they really need to sell the grants, but I don't know that people are comfortable applying for them if they can't have somebody walk them through it. So when we had somebody for the full year, I believe the year prior to this, we have used our full 60K before. But I think part of it is that there was an individual who's new, or there was a gap in.
And I'd say kudos for you for finding a metric for the efficiency or the ROI. It is wildly impossible to come down to any high degree of accuracy, but I think the efficacy of a measure is that it's used consistently and applied over years so that you can see if there's an increase in that metric. As long as it's consistently applied, that'll tell you if there's directional improvement. Now, to that end, the other piece you can look at is with regards to the companies that are staying, for the companies that didn't get a grant, figuring out how many of them have stayed around. Because if getting the grant is more likely to keep somebody in town versus applying and not getting a grant, or presumably you have the list of all the companies in Westborough, like within reach. You can figure a turnover there, so that you have like 3 different metrics you can go against to just provide directional efficacy of the grant program and what it may mean to companies, especially over years. Like any one year will never be appropriate, but over years, just a suggestion.
Sure. Thank you. We'll take that in mind.
No? Okay. I would invite you to spend a minute or two telling us, I know the EDC does a lot of other work besides this grant program, so I wouldn't want people watching thinking that this is the whole focus of our committee and our coordinator supporting businesses and doing other things. So if you wanted to speak to that a little bit.
Well, sure. So the EDC, or the Economic Development Coordinator, actually does quite a bit during the day. So she goes out and visits businesses. One of the things we talked about, and I appreciate that Select Board Keough mentioned it, that we have the wayfinding and branding campaign coming up. So we're really excited about that. They've come up with different presentations on different logos to put on the signs, and we hope to present those next Monday and get some consensus on that. So she's been running that program. So she's been involved in grant programs to administer those. So she's at interface with, we're using a company called Beta. So she's been running that program to make sure that that come off the ground, and she'll be involved in the presentation. She goes out and visits businesses on a daily basis, or virtually daily basis. She's involved with several different organizations. She's part of the chamber. She visits with the partnership. She's actually in Rotary now. So she builds up a networking organization for the town to get businesses involved and hear their concerns and help them through the process. She also, on a daily basis, helps them through permitting. So she often helps them get through the not only building permit, but other permits in town. So that's a big thing she's been working on. She has just recently put together, and we hope to have it out there for publication the next month or so, a business guide. It's very thorough. It's many pages. It goes through the different processes that exist in town and how you can get through those processes for a guide. It's a concept we've been working on for many years, but she's finally brought it to fruition. So those are some of the projects she works on. She goes to ribbon cutting. Sometimes she sets those up. She works with the chamber to get those organized. That was one of the pictures, actually. She was at a ribbon cutting. So there's a lot of daily functions she does well beyond the grant program. And I'm proud to say that we finally do have the grant program on our electronic permitting. So now applicants can actually go on our software program. It's Permit Pro, but it's our electronic permitting. So that's also been uploaded now. That she just happened to, it had been in the works, but again, she rolled that out in the last month or so. So it makes it easier for our applicants to actually get online now and do that work. And people can see it. It gives us more transparency on that stuff. So those are a few things that she's involved in.
And you used to have ambassadors and things?
Yes, we still do, and actually she's, again with the chair, Sandy Carker, she's trying to bring that back to life. We've had various success with ambassadors. Ambassadors are individuals that don't actually sit on the committee, but that work behind the scenes, if you will, to interface with our businesses. They often help if we're doing surveys. The branding and wayfinding, we put out surveys. They'll actually visit businesses to encourage them to take the surveys. So they also do various things to help the Economic Development Coordinator get the word out and help our businesses to be successful in town.
Excellent. Rod?
You want to give a plug for your annual awards program? That must be coming up soon too. So.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't know, do we have the actual date? I think we're
May 20-something, I think it's in May. But I'll check on that.
yeah. But at some point in the next, say, a month or so, you'll see the postings for, folks to vote on some of the awards themselves, and we've done that the last few years, and I think that's, we've gotten some great participation there, and I think the individuals or the companies that are nominated, I think, really take it to heart and think a lot of it. So at some point in the near future, you'll start to see that in the community advocate and on Facebook and stuff.
Keep us in mind for best town committee with 9 members.
With 9 members?
Certainly the best looking.
Okay, definitely top 3.
So I wonder, is the EDC, are they the first point of contact for most businesses in this town, or do they go to all the other departments directly as well?
I don't know if you want to talk about the one-stop program.
Well, yeah, so the coordinator actually gets involved with a lot of businesses when they come into town. So she does become, not the single point, but a lot of times the front person, if you will, for the committee and for different departments. So one of the things that Laura now does coordinate too, and we've had some form or faction of this for over 7 years, but we rebranded it to Business One Stop. So it's a weekly meeting that all staff departments come to, engineering, Board of Health, police, fire, building, so planning, all the various land use groups come to that meeting. It's typically at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays. That's opened up so as newer business come into town, if they want to need like a review of what they're doing, what they should be looking for processes and things, we bring them through that process. Laura sets that up too, and then she will sometimes use the ambassadors to reach out to some of the bigger companies. They recently made a visit to Cumberland Farms on Flanders Road, their facility out there.
And the reason I asked about a point of contact is one of the things that the police and the fire do very effectively in terms of messaging their value is that each of those touches is a point of contact, that it has to go to somebody, and it makes sense that it be somebody in the know that connect them, a node that connects them to other parts of the town. So I think there would be value, because it's easy to think that this is a $60,000 question, when the person we're paying for is probably worth a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
The value is how many touches are they doing, because the businesses are about a third of our income, and how much volume do we have to support that one coordinator is supporting, number of different companies, number of contacts. I know it's meticulous to keep, but it's a very valuable data point to suggest how the constituents are supporting the position, how important it is.
Sure. Great. We'll look at that. That's a great point. She'll interact with a business multiple times once they start the process.
Yeah, I think the tricky part there is, right, police and fire have dispatch, right?
Yep.
Every call is recorded and logged, and so you do have, it's very data rich. Here it's sort of one person who's kind of, but so it isn't as big as an opportunity for data, but there is an opportunity there.
Sure.
Again, it shouldn't be an onerous overhead, but ask what's the value of the position. It's not a $60,000 value. It is numerous contacts, and I don't know how to represent it, but not having a representation is undercutting the way you could present the value of the position, in my humble opinion.
Well, and one of the other things we've done, and that Laura's again reached out. She's working with a marketing firm now to get more marketing information out there, whether it be brochures, the business pamphlet that I've talked about. So we're trying to do more outreach too, so that people know that service is here, especially the businesses, obviously, that they can feel more comfortable and they know where to go to. Because that's probably one of our biggest problems when a company comes through, is if they don't make immediate contact or they don't know where to go, that oftentimes will turn them off. So we continue to try to do a better job at that too.
Yep. Okay, very good. And the committee is fully staffed with volunteers at this point? That's great news. Okay, if there are no further questions, I'd like us to consider a motion on current warrant 11D, the Small Business Grant Program.
McMahon, I move to recommend the town vote to transfer $38,263 from free cash for the purpose of funding the Small Business Grant Program.
Second?
Bradley, second.
Thank you, Andy. Any further discussion?
Just that I think that this has been a more data-rich presentation for value. I think there's still room to grow for it. We're talking about a year where we're gonna be making difficult decisions and being able to stand up the value of your department. Because I see the value in this for the town, but I think it's easy to not see the value from other points of view.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, channeling my inner Beretti here, but I know that he was big on the idea of understanding, did this help a business grow or not, right? They did something. And I think, Sean, your example of the chairs out front, well, that benefits us because it's sightly when you come into town looks better. That's harder to do the numbers, but in some cases there are ways of determining. Somebody did this to expand their business, did it expand? Follow-up stuff, but yes, I applaud too that it's a great start, and I think it seems like your new hire is working out quite well in this short period of time, because if I recall, it's only been a couple months.
Yeah, a few months, yeah.
Maybe not even 2 months yet? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been about 3
Okay, 3 months. Yeah, time flies.
The Christmas, can't really count.
Yeah. right.
December really doesn't count.
Okay, let's see, we have Beth remote, so we have to vote by roll call, so let's start.
Ahuja, yes.
Blumberg, yes.
Beth?
Did you? Yeah, Blumberg, yes.
Her microphone.
Unmute your thing, maybe it's the room.
She just abstained.
No, I voted yes.
Audio in the room's not
I
working.
need the audio. Let me try it again. All right. Try again, Beth.
Blumberg, yes.
Bradley,
She's
yes.
not in the chat.
Brant, yes.
Chimala, yes.
Clap, yes.
Leslie, yes, sorry.
McMahon, yes.
Shafford, yes.
Okay, that's 9-0-0.
Thank you very much.
Our recommendation.
Thank you.
will be 2-2. Thanks for coming by, appreciate you coming by and your efforts.
Good evening.
Have a good evening. Okay. Let's see if we can get the speakers turned up in the room, maybe for Beth. In the meantime, a little bit of news is I heard from the town manager today that she's just about to release the next version of the warrant. It'll include at least 2 citizen petitions and some of the other things that have been changing, some articles going away, some maybe some more information. So we should have that maybe for our Monday meeting anyway. Oh no, we're not meeting Monday because Monday's a holiday, by the way. For next week on Thursday's meeting, we might have that, or we should have that. The next article I would like to consider is one we kind of skipped over, which we could have voted, which is town reports, which is the vote to hear the reports from ourselves and town manager, et cetera. But it is an article, so I was hoping we can burn through that one. It's currently Article 2. Looking for wording.
Do we vote on our own motion?
Yeah, of course, we vote on all motions except for the election.
Okay. McMahon, I move to recommend the town vote to hear the report of town officers and committees.
Bradley, second.
Is there any further discussion?
What would happen if this was voted down?
You wouldn't hear reports from, you wouldn't hear report.
Be a lot shorter.
We'd all just go home.
Percentage-wise, probably no, but it would be.
There'd be more questions.
Probably about approximately a half hour shorter over a day,
I don't know. I think
maybe.
the questions would make up for it.
It depends what committees present. I mean, generally Christie would present. We do a short presentation. And then sometimes if there's a project, like the library has presented 5-minute things, but they're presenting an article, so we don't expect them. So I don't know how many other committees would really be presenting.
I'd vote for it just to listen to you talk all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you got away with not talking at the fall one, but this is a bigger one, I guess. And there's certainly more interesting things going on to talk about. All right. So let's vote and hope we can hear back.
Ahuja, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Blumberg, yes.
You can turn on my speaker. Nick.
Yeah, you're gonna.
Blumberg, yes.
Okay, got it.
Bradley, yes.
Brant, yes.
Chimala, yes.
Clap, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Shafford, yes.
All right, so that's 900. Very good. Okay.
You do the first.
Next up on the schedule, I think I'm going to skip over to DPW one as we get some clarifications on those still. I think we could vote on Article 12H and 12I, which were Recreation Department golf course articles brought up at the, and they were talked about at the summit. So unless, first of all, I'll just say, does anybody have unanswered questions that would prevent them from voting on those two articles? Okay, so seeing none.
McMahon, I move to recommend the town vote to transfer $40,000 from Country Club retained earnings for the purpose of replacing trap rake equipment. Bradley, second.
Okay, any discussion on this? I assume the trap rake makes the sand look nice or something, right?
It does, yes.
Okay, it's good having some golfers around here. Okay, seeing no further discussion, let's vote.
So are we voting for both of them together?
No,
No.
just trap rake right now.
Just trap rate.
We didn't think we could have done that, maybe, but, well, whatever,
Yeah.
let's do them individually.
Okay. Ahuja, yes.
Beth?
Blumberg, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Brant, yes.
Chimala, yes.
Clap, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Shafford, yes.
All right, so that's 900. Now we would move to 12.
McMahon, I move to recommend the town vote to transfer $75,000 from Country Club retained earnings for the purpose of replacing and equipping a fairway mower. Bradley, second.
Okay, any discussion on fairway mowers? Seeing none, Prashant?
Ahuja, yes.
Blumberg, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Brant, yes.
Chimala, yes.
Clap, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Shafford, yes.
That's also 900. Okay. We'll skip over the swim pool, I think, for now, and pool pack. There are 3 school articles, trying to get the feel for whether people want more information on them or not. They're Mill Pond Chiller, District HVAC and Plumbing Repairs, and Gibbons Gym Floor. Did you get to that part in the meeting yet? Yeah.
It's all capital, so.
Oh, that's
Unless-
true.
unless
You're
there's
very
some-
familiar with capital.
Yeah,
And
unless
plus
there's
the
something more
schools
spirited,
presented
but-
first. So
Yeah.
okay, well, let's try it and see what do we get there.
McMahon, I move to recommend the town vote to transfer $60,000 from free cash to fund the design for Mill Pond chiller replacement. Bradley, second.
Okay, any further discussion, comments?
So I guess my question would relate to, we're replacing the chiller in kind. Why we would need to spend $60,000 design money to do that? Which is,
So this is actually a Mill Pond chiller replacement design. Thank you for
Correct.
clarifying.
Well,
I'm not an expert at that.
You-
I
like
think
as a-
that
as a-
somebody's got to figure out, I mean, it's not the same chiller that was there, probably.
But if you're
20 years
an
later.
architect, would you ever go into, and I'm literally asking because I don't know,
Yeah.
would you go into a project just saying, replacing it, like, don't bother with design docs or something?
but this
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah, I mean,
architecture.
somebody-
This is,
what's that?
but this isn't architecture. It's HVAC, right? I
Right.
mean, I would say this
Well-
is the current capacity and they're gonna say, great, the new ones are even better, and here's the, I would think you'd put it out for bid and just get a price, right?
That's kind of what.
And I think also the building has changed
If you knew
in
what-
various
what-
dimensions and accesses since the
The
original.
company who would sell
So are
you
we
a new
saying we
one
want
would
more
know.
information on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rod
Okay,
waited
so
to ask for more.
Shall we
information.
withdraw the motion and move to the next one, or do you want to hold off on the next one?
I'll tell you what my question is on the next one too, if you like.
Well, if we're not ready to vote, we're not ready to vote. There's no
Okay,
reason to make a motion.
We should talk about what the questions are that we want answered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So, school liaisons,
Yep.
we'd like to explore that further, have an explanation. Okay, on the next one, what's your question?
My question whether this should be part of the budget as opposed to free cash. I mean, it sounds like odds and ends maintenance type stuff with no specific reason, so why shouldn't that be normal
Yeah.
maintenance as opposed to a free cash article?
I don't know, it depends if they've sort of pooled some things that they used to come and ask for hardware into like one larger pile. The DPW's done this lately as well, right, with the pumps, there's still capital. So it's, you guys considered this at the Capitol, do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, I'd have to go look at the form that they filled out as well, and I don't remember if that question specifically was brought up, but I do remember them justifying why this was a capital request. And again, I'd have to go back to the documentation, which I think is in the town, this document,
I'm pulling it
the
up real
digital
quick.
version.
Oh, maybe it is.
Maybe not that one, I think it'd be the digital one where they have the appendices.
Oh, yeah, the appendices are like bigger than the whole book, right?
They are.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing when I started going through those looking for something. It was like hundreds and hundreds of pages, because it had like the whole plans that they wrote and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, glad I didn't hit print on that.
Okay, so it does list some details. So we request funds for aging HVAC plumber replacement and repairs in all schools. Items of concern: high school and mill pond boiler replacements, heating, domestic hot water repairs and parts, Sorry, I think it copy and pasted weird in here, so it makes it difficult to read. Mill Pond and Hastings School domestic hot water mixing valve replacement. Maybe that was high school. Armstrong cabinet heaters, fan coil replacement, repairs and parts. All school unit ventilator parts. All schools glycol plumbing leak repairs. All school isolation valves and additional replacement. All schools hot water circulating pumps, motor repairs and replacement. The funding will be utilized to support any unforeseen repairs and extraordinary maintenance needs pertaining to the school buildings and HVAC plumbing, including boilers. So it looks like,
It's not just changing the air filters, which you do every 3 months. It looks like it's more like changing a pump valve, which might be 5-year thing.
so I mean, any of them I think would make sense as capital. I do think it's interesting to have a capital budget request for as of yet unidentified repairs. At the same time, having the funds to be able to address repairs promptly makes sense. So I'm sort of
Right.
reasoning through I mean, it makes sense, and it's not an excessive dollar amount considering the number of buildings, and they did identify potential risk areas.
Yeah, to me, from what you have read so far, it seems like it's more of finding out if there's anything that needs the repair. It's more of using these funds to uncover versus from what you have read, like what I heard from you reading so far, that it's more of uncovering if there's anything that is needed to be repaired rather than actually fixing it, is what I have understood.
So I actually read it as they're asking for funds up front in case there are issues through the year, so they don't have to worry about emergency approval for repairs, because it's not exploratory, it's examples of anticipated issues. Right, so funding will be utilized to support any unforeseen repairs and extraordinary maintenance needs.
So I guess why wouldn't that be a revolving fund or something like that? This
It's not
just seems
big
like
enough
a
to bother.
backdoor revolving fund, you know, when we put it that way.
And there is a reserve fund they're planning to keep as part of the town warrant as well.
So the reserve fund that they're requesting is special ed specific, right? So that's unrelated to this.
Sounds like we need more
I
information.
think we need to
on
have a
this.
conversation about how they anticipate this working.
Yeah.
I
'Cause
mean,
if they're
it,
replacing, you mentioned 2 boilers. If they're replacing 2 boilers, and there might be some other stuff,
see, and
that's
I
different.
don't think they're
But
actually
if they're
planning.
not replacing the 2 boilers, they're just saying, yeah, they might go during the year. That's a whole different.
Which is what I think
Yeah.
this says. And again, it looks like it's sort of copy and
Yep.
pasted weird. I don't think it actually all even fits in the box. So I think there's text I can't see based on the way it displays.
Yep. So as
But
long
yeah.
as they're coming in to talk about Mill Pond, they might as
Yeah.
well.
So- And the 2 boilers was actually a second
Not
capital
necessarily.
request for Armstrong. That was 560,000, 500,000 in 27-28. So
Oh, okay. I
that's-
was, yeah.
I
yeah.
do understand, and
Yeah.
it does seem like there's a lot of overlap. But yeah, I guess, you know, putting on Rod's hat, this just does seem like a backdoor request for a reserve fund, which I don't remember a better justification for than that. Reading up on this, I'm confusing with boilers.
Okay, we'll get more information and revisit that. Any questions on the Gibbons gym floor?
I think the only question I would have is that are there any cracks that have appeared, or it's just age which has, like, are there any cracks or something which they have reported?
So I think this one is just age and wear.
Yeah, if memory serves, that it's down to its last layer, because this is something they can generally replace by layering on. But at this point, they've worn down the existing layering
I
so
mean-
much that they're really toward the end.
You
Okay.
sand it. every
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
many
layering
years.
off, not layering on.
I'm sorry,
Layering
yes,
down.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the other point that I know that came up was that a reminder that this is one of the facilities that's used for a lot of rec and a lot of other things as well. So yes, it's a school need, but it also has a greater town value as well.
That rec would have gone away now, right? Because rec would be at the community center now.
Oh, no, they use every gym in town.
Yeah.
The
They do.
leagues of basketball, I mean, there's
Yeah.
a new basketball court in the community center,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
kids play basketball, there's every grade.
Yeah.
So the gym floor is original to the school, 1956. It's 68 years old. Items of
Oh, that's
concern
kind of old.
with the gym floor are
It's
the
older than me.
spacing in the flooring and splinters. There's no wood left to sand down and refinish. The floor has outlived its useful life. And there is a picture if you look in the capital plan, and you can see the spacing between boards.
Yeah, it was in rough shape when my kids were there.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a hard one to argue. It's far beyond what I would think is reasonable, useful life. It's time. And the middle school gym seems like somewhere we would like to have a floor that the kids can play sports on.
Sure.
Are we ready to vote on this one, or do we need more information?
I'm ready to vote on this one.
Yeah.
All right, McMahon, I move to recommend the town vote to transfer $220,000 from free cash for the purpose of funding the replacement of Gibbons Middle School gym floor.
Bradley second.
Okay, any further discussion? No hoop talk or anything? Volleyball, okay. Prashant?
Houja, yes.
Blumberg, yes.
Beth?
I'm talking. Blumberg, yes.
Bradley,
Thank
yes.
you.
Brant, yes.
Shimano, yes.
Clap, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Jafford, yes.
Okay, so that's 900. All right, we come now to two projects that got removed from the regular capital items because they're both borrows and will require 2/3 vote by the town meeting. And those are sewer line repair and replace and sewer infrastructure, 2 pump stations. Are there questions there that need further information beyond what was provided at the summit? Be a chance to get to that article, whatever page it's on.
You know what page it's on?
9. Oh, in the book, I do not know.
The C1 line, right?
See where I brought my-
Okay, Article 13. Looks like it's page, bottom of page 9 and page 10 of the version 3 warrant, if that's what you have.
So it's on 317 in the book.
It's in a book. This warrant's in the book.
Not the warrants, he's started looking for the capital page.
Oh,
the
yeah, I
details.
don't know that.
I think it is 317, but the dollar amount has changed. Cause it's 2 million in the book and 2.8 in the warrant.
Right, book being put together way before.
Right.
Warrant version 3.
Well, that's why, I just
Wait,
wanted to make
for
sure
four,
though, cause I was trying to match the two.
Yeah, the article currently reads 2.8
Yeah.
million from sewer.
Not from sewer, from borrow, right?
It's a borrow, but the payback would be from
Right.
sewer
Yeah.
earnings and not general levy. And I believe we did see at the summit, he had a map of which part this was.
So
Oh, is this the downtown?
Yes.
One where he showed, yeah.
The map, yeah.
Yep.
So how do we feel generally about funding articles that haven't gone out to bid yet?
That was what my question was gonna be, like, how do they come up with this amount, that it's 2,800,000? Have there been already bids that they know this is the estimate?
No, and it just went up, what's that, 40% since here? I mean, that's,
So my impression from this one though, and I could be incorrect and we could certainly ask Chris to come back and talk about it, is that they were sort of doing in phases and that this was just sort of the next phase. And so it's sort of a, we'll agree on 2.8, they'll get as much work done as they can, and then come back and show us sort of the next phase.
I think the cost increase may have been also, they didn't finish.
Right, there was a
Yeah,
section they
last
couldn't
time
do
because it
last
was far
time.
more, it wasn't able to be done in the shove another pipe through it, or whatever you do, the liner.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it needed to be ripped up,
Yeah.
maybe, so they,
So these are all clay pipe or something crazy that's,
yeah. To answer your
yeah.
question more directly, Rod, I would prefer,
Yep.
I mean, I prefer certainly on the building stuff, people getting a little more, doing it in phases with definitive things. I mean, apparently unlike a chiller, maybe you don't need that, I don't know, but, generally, something went dark. Well, maybe the projector went out because it wasn't being used. Okay. The idea of having a little more hard numbers and going through that process is kind of a good thing overall. But I generally support the idea of keeping the sewer infrastructure up and keeping, so I don't know that I wouldn't, vote. I mean, I objected to the community center trying to do it in one giant step, but, this one I don't know that would keep me from voting for it, but you asked generally how I feel, that's how I generally feel.
I mean, it's just, DPW does things that different from everybody else in town. They take preliminary estimates and ask for money. And that may be okay, but just thought it was worth a discussion.
And also, it's more recent that other people are doing it this other way too, I think, maybe, so. It's more convenient not to have to do that, I think, right? But unfortunately, if you have to come back and
Yeah, but I
you're
think,
kind of stuck because you get, unless they haven't started they just get the bid, I guess you don't have to allow them to start the project then.
yeah, and these aren't just numbers pulled out of air, and,
Yeah.
and Chris could certainly speak better to it, but I know that with every project they go into, and we go for the next one at 3.7, there are estimates done or there are comparable projects done, so these are generally well anchored, and the fact that they don't regularly come back asking for lots more money because something was missed. I think it's just the way that they can go at the speed of whatever the business is. But I would look to Chris to define that much better.
But did the capital group approve it at 2 million or 2.8?
I'd have to double check what our numbers were, but
I think the plan is probably for a lot more than that, because there'll be a phase 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, we got a lot of sewer in
Forever.
town, and it all was put in at the same time, and it all probably needs to be replaced, repaired, so, I mean, my sense is that they'll, you know, he probably knows the total number, but, or at least
Okay.
what it would be if they were able to do it all in, you know, current dollars, but.
So I actually bet he doesn't. So if you look at the actual request, so the 2016 had the original, or not, yeah, the 26 number had the original 2 million, and then 160 next year for feasibility, and 900,000 the following year, which is probably a placeholder for another big chunk.
Yeah.
I bet they're doing work, feasibility work, right, and
Yeah.
staging. So I bet he doesn't know the total. Which makes sense considering last year they thought they were going to get this certain amount done. They got in and said, "Oh, we can't," for whatever reason it was. Chris explained.
so we did vote on the 2 when we approved it, but it also comes out of water and the sewer enterprise specifically. So it wouldn't have been against the cap that we are working against with the 1.2, 1.3 million dollars. So that would have been just based on the funding source provided to us. So we would have approved the project in that directional amount at the 2 million is what it looks like.
So the capital has a cap.
Well, there's the free cash cap that we target. There's a line drawn there.
Nice to know. In fact, I think I remember people deciding which ones were gonna get included or not. in
Yes.
The last meeting
There's
you guys
little
had.
horse trading at the end to hit that number.
Yes, okay. Anybody else? We up for a motion?
Are we comfortable voting?
Sure.
Or do we,
Sure.
okay. Do we wanna vote these,
I would vote them
together or
individually.
separately?
They're such big numbers, I could
Okay.
see voting them separately.
All right.
Because we might wanna reconsider one or something later, so. It's easier to unwind
yep.
if we do.
McMahon, I move to recommend the town vote to borrow $2,800,000 for the purpose of repairing and replacing sewer line.
Bradley, second.
Okay, any further discussion on current 13A? If not,
I mean, the only
Go
thing I
ahead.
just wanted to call out, Walter, was that Chris is gonna be here. So do we want to vote at that time when Chris is here, or do we want to do now?
he's not gonna come for a while, so if there, I'm trying to get stuff done and out of the way that we can. The one article that he has to come for, they hadn't written the whatever the bylaw was
The
at the
bylaw,
time.
And we can revote too. Like
Right.
If it's,
That's always true, even at town meeting.
yeah.
Yep. Okay.
But so I don't particularly, unless there's a reason to wait like some of the other ones that we came up with, if there isn't. My opinion, I feel like I have enough information.
So, I'll tell you my reason for voting this one, even though I don't necessarily agree with how it's been put together. You know, I think the amount of infiltration and inflow into our sewage treatment plant is an issue. Fixing old pipes helps solve that issue, so,
Yep.
I think this is important enough to vote for, even though the process may be not quite as comfortable as I might like.
I mean, I would agree. I think that also, given what Chris shared about sort of the condition of these pipes and the realistic risk associated with a major sewer
If you have to fix
incident.
Bill.
something urgently, it's gonna
Right.
be a disaster.
So,
Absolutely.
I do sort of have a lingering question for the Kim, in as much as we did approve, capital finance approved saying $800,000 less. Like, at what point is a change so material that we should rethink about, or think about reconsidering it?
so for sure, I would think that's material.
Yes, it seems obvious, but she runs
Right.
the show. I will bring it up with her.
Yep. Yeah, it always seems like the capital committee's very rushed, because you have like 2 or 3 weeks, it seems like, from the time people like have proposals till you're done.
Yeah,
In my perception, it's almost like
It
this
is a very
weekly
quick
meeting,
process,
and it's
yeah.
like all of a sudden, and it seems very quick, so.
And I'll tell you, I learned from the questions we ask here for every time I go back, and
For next time.
yeah.
Okay. Prashant?
Ahuja, yes.
Blumberg, yes.
Thank you.
Bradley, yes?
Brant, yes.
Shmala, yes.
Clap, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Shafford, yes.
That's 900. Okay.
Okay, McMahon.
13B.
I move to recommend the town vote to borrow $3,700,000 for the purpose of sewer infrastructure improvements.
Bradley, second.
Okay, so this says it's funding for the rehabilitation of sewer pump stations. We have 32 of them. This article's intended to fund work associated with 2 pump stations.
And I do remember estimates here being based upon existing work that had been done for other sewer pumps, so this is, they size it based on, historical costs.
Okay. Any other comments?
So I'm gonna vote no for this one because this is big enough. I'd like to see bids in hand. And we're also spending 2.8 million on sewer, which I think is more important than this one.
Anybody else?
I think that's a good point too, because if you look at the capital request, there's another 2.3 million next year and another 1.5 million in FY30. So if we are looking for a change in process, pushing it off another year doesn't, right? I mean, I guess if you're going to take a stand and say we want you to do it differently, let's do it now rather than wait another year, because there's another huge request coming next year.
Bid them all 3 out next year, one package.
Well, yeah.
And I
We've
also
been
see
doing
where
a number of
it's
these
planned out.
every year for years.
One essential urgent, this one's a priority too, so.
Yeah.
Can't do everything.
Oh,
all at
that's
once.
in the chat.
Should we have Chris comment before we vote?
Beth, if you wanted to comment, if you raise your hand or something, I'll turn my little speaker on and we can hear you that way.
Okay.
Walter, should we?
I'm working.
Okay, try it now, Beth.
So we've been working on these in an ongoing manner, trying to get the town caught up, because like years ago, we recognized that these needed to be redone, but there were too many to do in any one year. So I don't like the idea of pushing both of them down the hill for future years.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Should we? Would it make sense to invite Chris to talk to this particular article and highlight the urgency, or explain the urgency of
I think
this
it's fair if he's gonna come for another thing to do that if you want.
before we vote? I don't know how urgent this is,
Yeah.
so does
fair.
pushing it off until next year hurts us or helps us, right?
Right.
He might be able to give us some more context to
Yeah.
help the decision.
Okay. Scrap that one for now.
We just like to let Gene practice his motions.
Yeah, and me fill out things and then I fill them out. Okay, the next one, community center HVAC with the $523,250 grant. It's a $824,200 article. Net about 300,000. This now excludes the pool pack. Are there, is there further information?
So I have asked Christie for more information on this, which
Okay.
I haven't received yet. I mean,
So let's wait.
it seems like a no-brainer. I just want to understand
Yeah.
the commitment
Cool.
and how confident we are.
That's fine. We have two from the country club, the fence and the drainage articles. Is everybody up to speed on that? After the meeting, should we discuss them? Not hearing complaints yet.
Okay,
We'll wait till you make the motion.
right.
I have to say, I question the drainage one. It's not a big
You
amount.
question
but-
it like you want additional information
No, I
and
just
wait to
didn't-
vote, or you're questioning it, you might vote against it?
I question
Those are
it
two
might-
different things.
Okay, I might vote against it.
That's fine. All right,
Thank you, Gene.
no problem. McMahon, I move to recommend the town vote to transfer $18,000 from Country Club retained earnings for the purpose of installing a fence.
Bradley, second.
Plus 15.
Yeah. I think this article actually is a result of a citizen pointing out that our tanks weren't properly fenced as they should have been.
Yeah.
Then the citizens can't complain about having to spend the money, I guess.
Yeah, they can.
Well, they don't.
You can do both.
This is rec money. This is
Yeah.
golf club money. They don't, citizens don't spend for it.
Well, if they live in town and play golf, I guess.
If they play golf.
Okay, which is fine. Okay, so this is Article 15. Sorry,
15.
Got off the right page. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? Let's vote.
Ahuja, yes.
Lundberg, yes.
Bradley, yes?
Brant, yes.
Jimala, yes.
Clap yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Shepherd, yes.
That's 900. Okay.
And McMahon, I move to recommend the town vote to transfer $25,000 from Country Club retained earnings for the purpose of installing drainage at the Westborough Golf Club.
Bradley, second.
Any further discussion?
Just a reminder that because this is money from the golf club, paid back into the golf club, there is no impact whatsoever to the town. They feel that this is the way, what they need to do to run their business. And we've had good people in there running a profitable business for the last several years. I don't know that we have a place to say that there's a different way that they should do it.
And I would agree to that. That's what I was gonna comment, that this is the way the business should be run, where they are, self-sustaining themselves. So there's no question that is taxpayer money being used. No, they are just having a right business model to earn and pay for themselves.
Yeah, it'd be a very different story in my mind if they weren't running the country club well, but they've been running it at a profit and expanding their reserves. So I say let them do what they need. Yeah.
I just have a slightly contrary opinion. While I'm not against this, I have no reason to believe that this drainage is a bad thing. Just because it's coming from Country Club retained earnings, the Country Club retained earnings and the Country Club are a town asset. And if we thought it was against the town's best interest, what they were doing, we should still recommend that the town vote against it. It's not a, well,
I agree. Why do we run a country club? We're a town. I completely agree with you.
not at all what I said. What I said was, you seem to be brushing it aside. It's like, well, this doesn't matter. We should just say okay because it's, just like if we thought they were doing something with sewer retained earnings that we didn't think was in the best interest of the town, we should still recommend against it.
But I think the point might have been that they think this is important to fix this drainage. They're running the business with the.
No, I get that and the
Okay.
point specific
Yeah, no,
to this idea, but
Just like free cash.
both of you spoke to it doesn't matter because it's coming from Country Club retained earnings, but it does matter. It's an asset of the town, so.
And it matters if they overspend, then they wouldn't have funds
The
to
town
buy
has a
their
legal
tractor.
obligation to satisfy their debts.
Right.
In any case, if they're running this model and having lots of people come and they think this would improve that, like you said, I'm in favor. But like any of these things, the reason it still comes up for vote is it's an opportunity to have
Right.
an opinion.
Yep.
And also just to this fact, right, that I think that it also suggests to me at least that there are enough people who are coming and they are contributing to the business, that the business is actually thriving, which is the fact that, they are able to sustain their retained earnings and being able to pay from it, which means that it's being used and people are paying for it. They feel that they're getting a good value for it, which means it's great. Yeah, if they're paying, okay, fine, the retained earnings are paying for it. But then the question will come if the town has to pay for it, and maybe you're right, they have to pay for it if it's a big borrowing, and at that point in time, maybe town has to think about it like, okay, now what do we do? So, but at this point, with the kind of requests that are coming and the fact that they are able to make it from the retained earnings gives a good indication of the fact that, yep, you are able to get people as well to pay for it.
Does anybody here golf at the country club?
The 8th hole has an area that's wet.
Yep.
There's no
That-
doubt about it, because
Yeah.
I hit in there all the time.
That was gonna be,
I'm not convinced that we have a good plan to solve that, but this 25,000.
You're a righty?
Yes.
I'm happy to hear
Can't
some
fix that.
personal experience, because that was gonna be my only criticism is
Okay.
I would love to see a little bit more context and certainty in the description. Prone to flooding is a little subjective at best. And it doesn't really give any analysis that drainage is the solution. There may be other factors that need to be addressed. So, it's 25 out of retained earnings. I'm in favor of this, but it would be nice to see a little bit more robust description.
Interesting to know in a year or two whether it helps.
Yeah.
Rod can report back. Send us a postcard. Something. Okay, well, it sounds like we're willing to vote on it in either case, so let's do it.
Ahuja, yes.
That?
Oh, Blumberg, yes.
Bradley, yes?
Brant, yes.
Shimada, yes.
Clap, yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
I'm gonna say yes, but I would like them to come up with a plan that they actually have a plan, as opposed to let's go out and with a backhoe and dig a ditch, which is kind of what it sounded like.
I would hope that involved like some perforated pipe or something too, right? Trap rock, or talk some good trap rock or something. Okay.
And will that cause will we be installing a pool at,
Yeah,
Some neighbors.
And where's that water going?
Armstrong.
And I'm glad I don't live
Armstrong.
adjacent to the
Yeah.
8th hole, I guess.
Armstrong's downhill, so.
So, yeah, that would be worse. Okay, all right, the next ones, I think, we're gonna have the town manager come talk about. We don't have a number for the survey, I don't think. Get out my notes here. Yeah, we don't have a number yet for the survey. I'd like to hear about the recent borrow and how these were particularly picked from Christie when she comes, which is gonna be on a week from Monday, the 20, whatever date that is. I think. This 10th, 17th, 24th. So I'm expecting Christie here on the 24th now. I guess it's a little early to do a library building vote, right? Let's see. I heard that, maybe Andrew knows more, I don't know, but I heard that this article from Sustainable Westborough is gonna get pulled.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I heard that too.
It was
Been at this-
unsustainable.
May have been at the select board meeting, I don't remember. But, so anyway, we did the transfer and the DPW wasn't ready, and then we're gonna hear from the planning board at some future meeting. So that's all good. And then, we had some questions on some others, including the note from, Adam on, police cruisers, so we got the slides, are we gonna, get any more information on that, or at our meeting, nobody asked for
I need to
more
go
information.
back and double check in the, and I didn't get a chance to today, but at the summit meeting, I'm 99% sure that they actually are replacing 3 vehicles, that they are keeping the Durango,
Yeah.
which had had more miles on it than one of the other ones that they're getting rid of, but they're still getting rid of, it's a replacement, it's a 1-for-1 replacement, it's not a net new vehicle, but I haven't had a chance to go back and confirm that, but I can send out the mark. And then you had a question about
Yeah. So
the hybrids, which Christie's sent off to somebody to answer. Right?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I can specifically ask about that.
Yeah, so the question came, I believe, was that, some other towns had problems with the hybrids, but, so why are we buying them? I think the answer at the meeting was actually, well, we had problems, I think, with our first 1 or 2 or early ones, but they haven't really been a problem since for us. I think the other reality is if the chief took the stand to not buy hybrids, then, it seems like that's always a popular thing at town meetings, so he would be artificially losing votes as well. Because there's also the current law or whatever is that you have to look for energy efficient vehicles when possible. So I don't think you would come out with something that just said it couldn't possibly be a hybrid. And I think what they've always said is they'll see what makes sense.
So maybe it's more of a curious question, but when we talk about police cruisers, I think the most important thing is reliability. And what I got from the meeting is that we had problems with 2 hybrid vehicles. Other towns have problems with hybrid vehicles, and yet we buy hybrid vehicles. So wanted clarification on, is that going to be an issue going forward, and what is driving that decision to buy hybrid vehicles if we think they might not be reliable? That's where the question comes from. It's more of a curious question to see what's driving that decision. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. So that was that question. And the first question about vehicles, maybe I misunderstood, but the request is to replace 3 vehicles. But then there was a comment made that we are keeping Durango. So I don't know if it's a 4th vehicle in question.
So again,
or,
I'll go back and double check that, but I was the one who asked about the Durango, but it was, if I might be misremembering this, but they had listed the 3 that they were going to replace, and the Durango was up there with more miles than the other 3.
Okay.
So I asked about the Durango, and the reason that they had chosen the other 3 was because the Durango didn't have idle miles on it because it had been the chief's car. So
Okay,
it wasn't,
that's clear
sitting
then.
at detail for hours and hours and hours. But I'll double check that, and if that's not the
It was
case.
also more appropriate for the thing they wanted to do. It was big.
Right, but the point is, they're purchasing 3, they're scrapping 3, but I will double check that and either send out the mark of where it is in the budget summit, or I'll ask the chief to confirm that.
Thank you. But
Sorry, I didn't get a chance to do that today, but
no,
pretty sure it's in
worries.
that meeting somewhere.
But
Or I know it's in that meeting
I think there
somewhere,
were
but-
slides too. The slides you sent didn't include the slides that talked about the vehicles.
So his Q&A, he had slides for his Q&A that were not included in what he sent me. I asked him for the slides before the question had come up. I just asked him for
But
slides from the
didn't
summit.
a separate person submit for this article specifically?
Maybe.
I think there was.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. So I think there are slides associated.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had different.
Yeah, because we have the list of all the vehicles.
Different police officers showed up to talk about certain parts of it.
Yeah.
during the day, it wasn't all cheap.
Yeah.
in the night. Okay, very good. Okay, so let's get some more information on that. We were gonna try and get some information on something else too last time.
I still have to contact Assabet.
Looks
The
Beth's-
110
Looks like Beth's speaking.
The 1-ton vehicles, we're gonna try and figure out with this schedule, I think, right? I'll unmute Beth here. Beth?
Okay. Hi, I still have to contact Assabet. That's all I was saying.
Ah, oh, very good, thank you. Oh, and speaking of Assabet, I will tell you that we received our, what do you call it, the official invoice or whatever, what it'll be. And it is approximately $30,000 less than what's in the budget current.
There goes some school savings.
That's right, that's 30K to their credit, if they wanna use that 30K. But, I was really happy to see that it wasn't somehow like much larger than was in the budget. And it's actually about 30,000 less, than the budget. That, I got an email, cause I think I had invited them last time to come or something, but it was to me and some other people. Anyway, so that was a bit of good news. And so, yeah, there was discussion last time about the 1-ton vehicle replacements and looking at, because there was like a gap of the sequence of them. So that's another question, for Chris, I guess, for Sean. Yep. Okay. Okay, and the lead service one too as well. All right, I also got another letter, actually in the mailbox, from the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project, which I have no idea exactly why they also send this to the Advisory Finance Committee, but they do. And it's to tell you how much they're gonna charge us for the mosquito control project next year. I wasn't kind of aware. I don't even, I'm not sure. It might be the Board of Health budget, I guess. I don't know whose budget it is. But there's a assessment, but I don't know relative to how much it went up or anything from this. So, yeah, interesting. So, let's see where we at. I think that's it for voting of articles. We'll next meet in about a week from tonight. Maybe they'll have some more information. We don't right now have a guest, I think, for next Thursday. Christy will probably be away. So she's coming on the 24th, that Monday, and cover hers questions. So any further discussion? I did send you a copy of the letter I sent to the select board. They discussed it at their meeting and voted to basically concur with our request to see what the 1% would look like, which was a little different than their last motion because ours excluded debt being used in that. And then we'll see, I guess, whenever the next school board meeting is, what they do with it, because I sent it to them too. And we'll see where we get. So my theory is that from having talked to Christy, I don't think we're gonna see numbers until March-ish on those. So that's why I'm trying to reserve some space at the end for dealing with the budget, which is a huge amount to vote on. As you recall, there's 40 lines or something. So that's why I've been trying to push us through these other articles that we can get to now, because I think we're gonna have less time later. Okay, we have any liaison report?
Just an update on the DPW that I've sent out the questions that we had asked in the last meeting to Chris, as well as invited him to, and given him a couple of dates in Feb, including your question as well, which you had sent in the morning. So I'm waiting for the hear back from Chris.
Okay, great. And So we have minutes from February 3rd, 2025.
So I did, where it talks about on page 3, under the budget discussion. Actually, first, on page 3, after they list all the articles and yeah, after they list all the articles, there's just those 2 bullet points that say new updated articles in draft, if any.
Let's see, page what? 3?
3.
Oh, so what she generally does is she takes my agenda.
No, I
and just
understand, but
copies it in, and if there's nothing that happened, she just leaves them blank. Would you prefer to say no items or no?
I don't know. It just
discussion?
seemed odd to me this time, but
Yeah, I mean.
that was just a question. And then below that, under the debrief of the January 30 budget summit, the second paragraph,
Okay.
when it talked about the 5% reduction, it
0.5%.
doesn't. Yeah, sorry,
5%, okay.
0.5%. It doesn't mention that that's exclusive of fixed expenses, debt and insurance.
In that same sentence, I didn't understand express concern of a 4% cut. I didn't understand what the 4% cut reference.
I think we were talking about we were at 6.7% increase, and we were talking about what would it look at 2.5%, which would be a 4%
4%
cut,
cut.
which
Okay.
would be somewhere on the order of $5 million, or 50 employee approximations, or something like that. I think that's what it is. But so you would like this to say, knowing what a 5% reduction
Exclusive,
exclusive of fixed costs.
yeah, fixed expenses.
Oh, yeah. Expenses. Okay. You can try that. I'll just highlight that for now.
And there's also a section there on the AFC liaison, and it may just be that I was not clear as the way I articulated myself, which is not a stretch to anybody. But the rec department is not going to be attending the AFC meeting. What I had intended to suggest was that the rec department was having for their meeting in March, that their intent was to discuss article items at that meeting. And that it would be the next meeting I'll be at. So,
Mr. Bradley noted that the Recreation Department will attend the AFC meeting.
yes, I don't believe that's what I said, although I can very much believe that it sounded like what I said. But
Okay, but you will be, so what do you want to say here? You'll be, what did
only
you say?
that they will be discussing AFC articles at their March meeting, which is the first Monday in March. And
They were town meeting articles.
correct.
So is that Recreation Department or Recreation Commission or something?
Rec
like that?
department.
So-
Yeah.
So the Rec Department has a meeting?
Jen Kirkland runs golf courses there, rec teams there. Yes, they meet monthly, and I'm on the committee. You look at me like I haven't been doing
The
this
committee
for
is
years.
different than the department.
Fair enough.
It's the committee that's.
I'm
having
saying
the
is the rec, whatever the recreational committee's called, I thought it was called the commission or something.
I would know. I'm not part of that. So
Oh. But you're on some committee with the rec department.
I'm on the rec department. I'm the liaison to the rec department.
Oh, and it's just called the rec department?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So maybe it isn't a committee, it's just actually you go to a department meeting?
Well, and they do have a rec committee that involves some of the volunteers for the groups, and I'm not part of that. Some of those
okay.
members are represented as they meet.
Okay, the rec department will be meeting, forget the attend, will be meeting during the first Monday in March
And discussing
to
the AFC
discuss,
business, or the warrant articles.
to discuss warrant articles. Okay. Anybody else?
Just-
see Beth when I'm typing here.
I just wanted relative to the 1%, Ms. Williams confirmed that 1% of the town budget would be 240, 1% of the school is 700. Is that, are those, and how does that relate to the 1.3?
The 1 it doesn't quite, because the 1.3 included fixed costs.
Okay, is that the difference?
Yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah, so if you do 1% of the 130, that's 1.3 million you gotta come out with, but there are,
I know
it's
you
here
had
somewhere.
you had numbers in what you had presented.
Right.
Maybe the same as Christie's, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it gets a little hazy because the schools, when you include their portion of the insurance, is 75% of the overall budget, and the town is a quarter. It kind of makes sense because the town has 200-something employees, and the schools on the payroll are about 800, but there are more on grants and things.
Okay.
So
All right.
it's about a 3-to-1 ratio or something.
Okay.
But yeah, it gets confusing because if you sort out debt and you sort out some of those other things that sometimes come out, then the numbers don't add up to be the big number.
Right. Okay.
It's an interesting exercise. Okay, that it for changes for now? Okay. Did you make a motion with those
I
corrections?
didn't, but I can. McMahon, I move to accept the amended minutes from February 3rd.
Is there a second?
Bradley, second.
Very good. Any further discussion? If not, let's vote.
Ahuja, yes.
Blumberg, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Brand, abstain.
Chimala, yes.
Clap yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Shafford, yes.
Okay, so that was 801. Very good. Okay, you all get Monday off. You won't be meeting Monday because it's a holiday.
Do we have enough to talk about on Thursday?
I always have enough to talk about.
Okay. What are we gonna talk about?
More of the same. There'll be a new warrant out.
Okay.
We'll have new articles.
Okay.
If we don't, we may have a guest still. We have a couple of invites out to some guests, and that's a date that's certainly in play, which would be great because I'd like to get more people in soon. And if we don't end up with a lot, then we can just have a shorter meeting, which would be okay too. So we need a motion to adjourn.
Shafford, motion to adjourn.
Very good. Is there a second?
Clap second.
Thank you.
Ahuja, yes.
Blumberg, yes.
Ben?
Blumberg, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Brand, yes.
Chimala, yes.
Clap yes.
Leslie, yes.
McMahon, yes.
Shafford, yes.
9:00, we are adjourned. Thank you, Westborough TV, and thank you all. And we'll see you the 20th.